Hello from Spiritual Seeds. Last week I did not record because I needed a break. I was a bit tired, but I'm happy to record again these little seeds for you. First of all, I want to put this reading for the second Sunday of Christmas, after Christmas. I want to put it into context. The context is what we are living through. I know many people, some of them are very close to me, that are suffering at this moment, seriously, because of the pandemic. I know many people who are afraid. Some of my parishioners are at home, sick. And this is our reality. This is where we live. And Christianity is absolutely realistic. There is a realism that is unique to Christianity. And that realism is exactly the point of Christmas. If you want to translate the word Christmas somehow in another word, it would be realism, the realism of God. Is God that becomes totally real. And He wants to touch your reality, the reality of this parish, the reality of my life, the reality of the world. Christmas is God that enters completely our reality. And this is the context of this reading, which is taken from the Gospel of John, the beginning of the Gospel of John. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things came to be. Not one thing had its being, but through Him. All that came to be had life in Him, and that life was the light of men, a light that shines in the dark, a light that darkness could not overpower. The Word was the true light, that enlightens all men, and He was coming into the world. He was in the world, that had its being through Him, and the world did not know Him. He came to His own domain, and His own people did not accept Him. But to all who did accept Him, He gave power to become children of God. To all who believe in the name of Him, who was born not out of human stock, or urge of the flesh, or will of man, but of God Himself. The Word was made flesh. He lived among us, and we saw His glory, the glory that is His as the only Son of the Father, full of grace and truth. Indeed, from His fullness we have, all of us, received, yes, grace in return for grace. Since though the Lord was given through Moses, grace and truth have come through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is the only Son who is nearest to the Father's heart, who has made Him known. The Gospel of the Lord. This is the Gospel, the good news for this second Sunday after Christmas. It sounds very abstract. It's the beginning of the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John is highly it's not difficult. It has its own language. It has a different language compared to the other Gospels. And if we don't understand this language, like language of grace, language of darkness and light, the word, we lose its meaning and it becomes foreigner to us, but is not foreigner to us at all. It carries a deep, important meaning for you and for me in the middle of what is happening. Two things I want to say because it's very long and I don't want to be too long with this recording. The first thing is about darkness and light. This realism of God, this reality of God is first of all appears as light in the dark. That is, darkness is not, in the Gospel of John, is not a purely physical experience, dark and light of the day. Darkness is a theological experience, that is the experience of the absence of God. And maybe that is how many of us are feeling at the moment, or maybe how you felt recently, that somehow you stand or you stood alone, that God was outside of your reality. I remember this book by the wife of Mitterrand, the president of France. And now the title of the book escapes me. I think was called, I don't remember, but the meaning of that book meant that she had this experience in the concentration camp of being abandoned, of pure darkness. And she was writing this book to express that at one point she experienced that God visited that darkness. There is no manger in this gospel, no little crib or nativity, Mary, Joseph, the angels, the shepherds. But if you look at some iconography of the crib in the Eastern world, in the Eastern Catholic Church or Eastern Christian churches, you wouldn't see a crib. You would see a dark cave. Look at it on the internet. Nativity in the Eastern churches, you will see a dark cave, and in the middle of the darkness, the Son of God. This is the first reality of Christmas, that no matter how far we can feel from God, God has become near us. He is near to every reality we can experience, every feeling alone, abandoned, rejected, fear. God was born in this darkness as light to give us this good news that this light is stronger than our darkness, and the Christians are united with this light. The second thing I want to say is very important, is the end of this gospel. Very important. The last verses of this beginning of the Gospel of John, when he speaks of this Son of God, the only Son, him, nearest to the Father's heart, to his Father's heart, who has made him, the Father, known to us. This is the realism of Christmas, that we have a Father. This is the answer from Adam and Eve, from every man and woman, this feeling of being orphan, of being abandoned, of being alone, of being somehow have to live on our own strength. The good news of Christmas is that we have a Father. You have a Father. And this man who is nearest to his Father's heart, because he's the only Son, he was born in the bosom of his Father. He was generated to be the Word of the Father. This man revealed, made the Father known to us. Remember what he said in John, the one who sees my face, sees the face of the Father. The one who hears me, my teaching, hears the doctrine that comes from another, the Father. What I see the Father doing, I do. Everything about this man speaks tells, narrates the loving Father. But there is more. Listen to me, it's very important. I don't want to sound theological, but this is reality, realism, not theology per se. This verb at the end of the Gospel, made him known, in Greek is exegestai. This verb in Luke only is used, and it means to tell, to be an exegete, to explain, to interpret. So it is true what we just read, what I read, that he has made known, has told us about the Father. And this is beautiful. But there is more. This verb, exegestai, is also used in John here, and in the Greek language, it doesn't not only mean to explain, it also means to accompany, to lead, to guide into. So what is this realism of Christmas? Is that he was born to lead me and to lead you and to lead every man and woman to the bosom of the Father, to the heart of the Father. This is Christianity. Is this reality of heaven, the Father, the Holy Spirit, the kingdom of heaven that entered our life, touched it, transformed it, healed it, and at one point returned, and returned bringing us to the reality of our Father, to bring us into the heart of God, to be one with God, to rest on Him, to be completely in the reality of our place where we belong, the heart of our Father. I bless you with all my heart. I know it's a difficult time, but remember, Christianity is real, and the good news is real, and it comes to you and it comes to me to reassure us and to bring us to the Father's heart. See you next